welcome to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sheritz, and haven't been on here in a month, so welcome everyone. I'm glad you're listening today. Take a moment. Our show today, go to our Facebook page, The Way Out Recovery SCV. And what I shared on there recently was last year's show. We had Brian Dellett on, who was speaking about his experience in being in New York when the towers were hit. So our show today is not going to be about that right there, but I wanted to mention, just because of the significance of today, the 17th anniversary of that tragedy, and so to take a moment, if you haven't done so today, and reflect upon, the lives lost and all the changes that have taken place in the United States and elsewhere as a result of that experience that many of us, were alive for and got to be in that experience, that tragic event. So take a moment to reflect upon that. I think I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention, the first responders that so bravely went into those buildings and around that area and saved all those lives on that day. And of course, the first responders who lost their lives that day, who gave their lives to save other people. And, and our country as a whole, how we responded to that event, and now where we sit today reflecting back on 9/11 and the events of that day. So take a moment to reflect in that today. And what it does for me is it allows me to sit in a place where I feel very grateful to live in a country that, I feel safe and secure on a daily basis. And everybody who responded to that event did such a wonderful, wonderful job. And I can't say enough about that. So the Way Out Recovery Hour is brought to you by The Way Out and KHTS. We are intensive outpatient program located on the corner of Plum Canyon and Bouquet Canyon. We are at 28118 Bouquet Canyon. Drop on by anytime you're out in that area, and give us a call if you or someone you love needs help, or if you just want to chat. We are at 296-4444. Go check out our incredible website. We have they did a fantastic job on building our website. We are at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. And of course, you can always send me an email if you want to talk. I'm at bob@thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. I'd be happy to respond to any emails that you send me and help any way that we can. Drug and alcohol and mental health issues are pervasive all around us. In my opinion, it's probably the most pervasive issue that faces us as a city, a nation, a world. It's everywhere, and so we all know someone who suffers as a result of substance abuse and mental health issues, and there is help available. There's lots and lots of help available. So, if you or someone you love needs help, please reach out to somebody. If not us, somebody else. A teacher, a friend, a pastor, a police officer, your neighbor, family, somebody, and just ask for help. It's okay to say, I'm struggling. It's okay to ask for help, and asking for help is the first step. And I'll tell you from my experience, that was the greatest thing that I ever did, was to surrender and say, I can't do this anymore. As a result of that and allowing people to help me, I've been able to experience this recovery process, which is just a wonderful, incredible thing. And we live in this big, beautiful world, and I'm blessed every day to be clean and sober. So give us a call. Today's show, so we have a really special event coming up on September the 27th. Several months ago, Child and Family Center reached out to the Way Out Recovery and said, why don't we collaborate on an event? And we have put some time and effort into planning. We've got a lot of great panelists that are coming. And so today we're going to talk about that event. And I have on the show with me today Charity Wabuki, who runs the drug medical program over at Child and Family Center. Incredible program. You guys have been up and running for how long now?
Since last October.
Since last October. So it's been about a year since you've been on the show, right?
Yeah.
Right when you guys started?
Believe that. Yeah.
Time flies, right?
Time does fly.
So, and your title over there?
I am the program manager.
Okay, so Charity is the program manager for their, it's transitional age youth. What age group is that?
We start serving individuals from ages 12 all the way up to 21.
So age 12 to 21, it's a wonderful resource in our community that we really need to get the word out about more. I think more people certainly need to know about you guys and reach out. So we're going to talk about that event today and the collaboration between our two organizations, and we're also going to talk about each one of our organizations. So when we come back from this first break, what I want to do is I want to have you introduce yourself, and let's talk about that wonderful program you have over there.
Sounds great.
So this is the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sheritz. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come on back and get started.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Hi, Santa Clarita. This is Rosemary with Beyond Harmony Med Spa with some great news about Kurt Stinson. Now, why am I telling you about a plumber? When I had a horrible plumbing situation at my house, Thanksgiving morning, house full of people, of course I called Kirk. He rushed right over, took care of our problem. The prices were so reasonable, I couldn't even believe that I was paying that on Thanksgiving Day. If you need a plumber, Kirk Stinson is the guy to call.
Plumbing by Kirk, 263-6519, or visit plumbingbykirk.com.
Join City of Hope today in the fight against cancer. Make a difference by participating in City of Hope's Together for Hope, presented by Antelope Valley Hospital and High Desert Medical Group on Saturday, September 15th. Be a part of this inaugural event in partnership with City of Hope Antelope Valley and show your support toward groundbreaking research to treat and cure cancer. They welcome everyone to their 2K walk, 5K run in honor of the individuals in our lives affected by cancer. City of Hope, the miracle of science with soul. Join the movement today by registering at togetherforhope.org.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
KHTS, your hometown station.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sheritz, and I have in studio with me today Charity Wabuki, who is the program manager at the Child and Family Center's Drug Medi-Cal program. What's the title of the program? I don't want to call it just the Drug Medi-Cal program.
Outpatient Substance Use Treatment Program.
The Outpatient Substance Use Treatment Program, serving a population of 12 to 21-year-olds.
Correct.
So tell us about the program. I think it'd be easier that way rather than me just going, is it this, is it this?
No problem.
Tell us about the program. It started October of last year?
Yes. So we started servicing patients October of last year, and we've been growing slowly and steadily. We are super excited because our program is 100% Drug Medi-Cal funded, which allows us to increase the access of services for individuals in the Santa Clarita as well as the surrounding community area. So that's been a really great opportunity for Child and Family Center to be able to expand the resources that the community has access to.
I tell you what, one of the wonderful things that we are seeing, whatever anybody's personal opinion on the Affordable Care Act is, we're not talking about any of that, but what we're seeing happening, especially in the last couple of years, and it's just a beautiful thing, is that because of the Affordable Care Act, many, many more people have insurance now. But previously, it was so frustrating to work in drug and alcohol treatment because there were no Medi-Cal nobody accepted Medi-Cal. And so we would get tons and tons and tons of calls and not be able to place people. And it was just difficult. And in the last couple of years, Drug Medi-Cal, especially in LA County, has opened up all kinds of services. And as a result of that, we have wonderful programs like yours. And it's really cool when I get those calls. And I know a place, and it's not just a place that takes Medi-Cal, but it's a high quality, very effective place that takes Medi-Cal. What does the program consist of over there?
That's a great question. So one of the things that we're super excited about is our program is really, number one, about individualization, because there's no such thing as cookie cutter substance use recovery treatment. And so individuals have a slew of services that they can choose from. We do groups 3 times a week. We have individual counseling. We offer case management, because part of recovery is learning how to live life sober. So we want to be able to link up clients to, healthy resources that they can utilize as they work through their recovery. And then we also have crisis management, because from time to time you do have clients that lapse. And so we want to be able to come around them, support them with the resources, with the services that they do need. So that's part of our program as well. We also have family counseling, because what is so true about recovery, it's not just an individual problem. It impacts the whole entire family. And so especially when we're working with teens, we want to have that family connection right from the very beginning. So we do also offer family therapy services as well. And so then the beautiful thing is, after a client completes our program, we can do aftercare services. And so once again, it's all about making sure the clients have the resources as well as the skills that they need to embark on the road of recovery.
So sort of take me through. So I give you a call, and oh my God, my 16-year-old is out of control. I need help. What do I do? What is my process going to look like as a parent with a 16-year-old, and now we're in crisis, which, as well as I do. So with teenagers, it's much different than working with adults, especially in the sense of this. National statistics says that by the time a parent finds out that their child has been using any kind of drug, it doesn't matter what it is, that the child has been using already for about 1.5 years. That's what the national studies say. So parents, but if you suspect that your child, or that your child is using marijuana or alcohol or any other drugs, chances are they've been using for a while. So what happens is, now a parent a child is getting in trouble with their drug use, and it comes to a parent's attention, and they want to act on it. By the time they get to us and call us, they're already in crisis.
Exactly.
And it's been going on for a while. So Bob's 16-year-old is in crisis, and I'm giving you a call. Take me through the scenario of what would happen in that.
Absolutely. So we first start by doing a pre-screen, because we want to be able to see where the client is at in terms of drug use, in terms of just wanting to be in a treatment program.
And does that include, so would I come in with my 16-year-old, or is that we come in together for that first meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you would come in together, and then we would, just start by talking about, what it is that you're looking for. What do you want to get out of treatment? And are you ready to be involved in treatment? Because one thing that we have found is we can never force someone to be in treatment. And so there has to be that level of readiness to change.
What happens if my 16-year-old says, no, I'm not doing it? What sort of work do you continue doing with me?
So then we also do parent education.
Okay.
And so we want to be able to provide parents with the skills and resources that they need. One of the services that we also offer is free parenting groups. And so parents are more than welcome to join those groups. They're open. They're every Thursday evenings. Right. And we do offer them in both English and Spanish. And it addresses, just common topics that parents might struggle with. One of them being communication, another one being, just understanding the signs of addiction, understanding the signs of how would you tell if your child is under the influence, providing them with just general drug education, because drug culture changes so rapidly. And, I've been in this industry since 2011, and in the past 7 years, there's definitely been a lot of changes just within the substance abuse field.
Yeah, we live in as far as the availability of drugs and the power, the potency of the drugs that are out there, we live in a really scary time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so part of it is just providing that education and information to the parents. And then also what we've found is sometimes parents don't really understand what withdrawal symptoms look like. Right, okay. And so even talking them through, like, what are some of the signs of withdrawal? You know, how can you help support your child during that time? And so really one of the key things is being able to meet both the client and the parent with where they're at. And a lot of times we found that the client is more willing, you know, to enter into our treatment program. Yes, we do part of the interview together with both the parent and the child, but then we also separate them because you can find out a lot more information sometimes from the child without the parent being present. And it's never about trying to keep secrets or hold information, but it really allows my clinicians to connect with the individual one-on-one.
Well, and when you know, our job as counselors and clinicians is to provide more than anything a safe space to allow that teenager or that parent the freedom to say what's really going on without the fear of saying it in front of their other family members.
Exactly.
And so we create that safe space, and it always amazes me what the teenagers are willing to talk about in a safe space, right? And part of the work that we do, and I'm sure you guys do as well, is if a child digs their heels in and says, no, I don't have a problem, I'm not doing anything, some of the work that we do with parents is teaching them what healthy boundaries look like and what, you as a parent have to decide what's okay and what's not okay in your house. And if you say something is not okay, then you have to stand by that, whatever that looks like. And oftentimes when we teach a parent to hold by their boundaries and do that in a loving and kind manner, we're not talking about throwing your kid out or anything like that. We're talking about saying there's no drug use in my house, period. And if there is, then I'm going to follow through with whatever that looks like. When we teach the parent strong boundaries, oftentimes the teenagers will start to straighten out because what they're looking for is structure in their lives a lot of times anyway.
Exactly. And you made a really great point, Bob, because you want to separate the behavior from your relationship with your teen. Right. So you still want to show that unconditional positive love for your teen, but still have that boundary of certain behaviors, in this case drug use, it's not okay to happen in the home.
Right. Well, and it's neat when you can get somebody to see that. Like, so here's for instance, and I use this as an example. I don't smoke any kind of anything, but there's no smoking in my house. There's no smoking on my porch. There's no smoking by my front door. Any of my guests that come over to my house, if they smoke, they're not doing it at my house. And it doesn't matter if it's my own kid or if it's a friend of mine or if it's a perfect stranger. We don't smoke in the house, period. That's my boundary. It doesn't change just because you're my child.
Right.
Or just because it doesn't matter. And it's oftentimes we get, with the younger adults, we live in a world today, maybe it's been like this for a while, but we have a lot of young adults that still live at home. And so it changes a little bit when they're over 18. And one of the things that I will like to give to the parents is I say, what would be okay if you were renting a room to a perfect stranger? What's okay and what's not okay in your house? And they start to look at that and they go, oh, and I go, would it be okay for them to smoke heroin in your bathroom? No, of course not. Then why is it okay for your child to do it? Why is it okay for your 19-year-old child to do that? Would it be okay to have people in and out all hours of the night? No, it wouldn't be. Well, then why are you allowing it with your child?
Exactly.
What's the difference, right? And they start to see, oh, my boundary has nothing to do with the other person. It's my boundary.
It's their boundary, exactly.
And it's neat when you can empower parents to do that. So now my 16-year-old says, "Okay, Dad, I'll sign up for this stupid program." Then what happens with my 16-year-old when he comes to you?
Well, first of all, we are excited. So even if we have a client that does have a level of resistance in the beginning, but then they're able to say, okay, well, maybe I'll give this a try. Right. And so one of our treatment modalities, we do a lot what's called motivational interviewing. And basically that just talks about where is your client and in terms of how can we meet the client with where they're at. So if we have a teen who does present with levels of resistancy, we're going to meet them with that. because we're not going to come in and say, you need to stop using, drugs are bad, because they've already received that message so many times over from their parents, from teachers, from other adults. And so we want to start by shifting that relationship. And so we work with them in the sense of how can we explore the relationship that drugs have for you. And so for some point, there's some value they're finding in using it. It might not be a great value, but there's some reason that this individual is still choosing to use. And so that's where we're going to start, by processing what does the drug serve for them in their life, and work with them to further explore that.
Yeah, when I get the opportunity to work with teenagers, I don't ever get into and maybe people listening can use this as a tool. If you try to get into an argument with a teenager over whether or not marijuana, for instance, is bad for you, they're going to win every time.
You will lose.
They've done far more research than we have, and they are in the scene, so they get it, right? So I don't ever go there. One of the things that I do, that I present to any of the teenagers that we work with, is anybody who does any drug, whether they're a drug addict or not, is going to pay some price for that. Mm-hmm. It might be a hangover. Mm-hmm. It could be a car wreck. Mm-hmm. It could be death. So let's explore what's the price that you're paying for this.
What does it cost you?
The relationship, right? The relationship. Because when they start to weigh, because there are benefits of using. You know, you have awkward teenagers who don't fit in socially, who all of a sudden they can smoke a little pot and they're like in the crowd, and it creates this whole social world for them, right? And they have stuff to talk about, and they bond over it, and so there's a lot of payoff for them. Or you have instances where there might be trauma or abuse or something present, and drugs will allow a person to not have to feel that or to feel differently about it. So there's always a reward for doing the drugs, or they wouldn't have such a strong pull. So we start to weigh that against, okay, yes, it is doing there is some benefit for you, but is it worth the cost? Is it worth it?
Exactly.
And if it is, then, you can keep bringing that up with them. And so that's neat that you guys are using, and motivational interview is, that style of treatment is the effective treatment of the day. Mm-hmm. We have found over the years that all of the just say no, scared straight, tough love, in your face, you're going to or else programs, although they will have some significant effect on people who probably wouldn't be using anyway. Right? They'll keep me from using. Mm-hmm. But the ones who have crossed the line into addiction, or who struggle with being able to shut down, they don't respond well to that stuff. In fact, there are some studies that suggest that kind of in-your-face treatment pushes a person further into secrecy. Mm-hmm. And the problem gets worse. Exactly. Because now they're doing it behind your back with no, it's not out in the open. And so the method of treatment has changed to a motivational interview. I was at a conference once, and Dr. Mee Lee is one of the authors on one of our books that we use all the time. But anyway, he American Society of Addiction Medicine. He's in that organization as well. And he said treatment used to look like this. You walk through the door, and we say, okay, here's your problem, and here's what you're going to do about it. And now when you walk through the door, it sounds more like this. Thank you for choosing us to help you sort out the stuff in your life. How can we best serve you?
Exactly.
Right? Because we're serving the client, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Right?
And it has to be client-centered approach.
And that's beautiful that you guys, that is your main approach, is that motivational interview and that client-centered approach and individualized treatment, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys have been around long enough to where now I bet you've seen some tremendous successes over there.
We have. We definitely have. And, we've seen clients go through some challenging times. We've seen some of them lapse, but then pick themselves back up and continue on their path of sobriety. We've seen some of them going through withdrawals and then just being able to provide that education to the parents about this is what you're seeing and this is what your child is experiencing. And so how can we, partner together with your son or daughter?
Right. Yeah, that's neat when you can see families come together like that. And that's the reward. I mean, whatever reason we get into the oftentimes frustrating profession of addiction counseling, the reward, I know for you as well as me, the reward is when you have the people that you run into out in in our town that go, hey man, I'm doing, and you can tell they're doing well.
They're doing better.
And they turn, and they turn around and go, God, thank you for for helping me out. And that is, there's no reward like that.
Exactly. And then we have the kiddos, coming in for Saturday, because we do some of our groups on Saturdays for the younger clients, and you can just tell that there's a clarity in their eyes, and they're starting to see things differently, and their self-esteem is going up. Those are the moments where, my team all says, this is why we do what we do. To be able to have these breakthroughs with the clients. Yep. And so, we did about a year ago, maybe it was about a year and a half ago. So when the Way Out first opened, we did a provider luncheon, and we invited everybody in the community, or all the organizations in the community, to show up, and we're going to give them lunch and just talk about what we do, because we really believe in collaboration with other organizations. At that time, I did a little bit of research, and the national statistic on substance abuse for adults was 8.1%. So 8.1% of the adult population in the United States has some sort of a problem with drugs or alcohol. And so I took that number and I based it on the adult population at the time of Santa Clarita. And based on the math, at that time there were 12,000 adults sitting in Santa Clarita. And I don't think that number has changed very much in the last year. So I want you to, listeners, think about that. Right now, as we sit here, there are 12,000 adults in the Santa Clarita Valley who need some sort of drug and alcohol treatment. And there are only a handful of organizations that are out there doing what we're doing. So the more that we collaborate, because I don't know if they're going to call me or you or anybody, any of the other providers in the Santa Clarita Valley. And our message is always call somebody, call somebody. So the more that we can work together and collaborate and send each other referrals, the better off the people who need it are going to be. And so it's a beautiful thing that our organizations are working together to try to provide this education on the 27th of September to the Santa Clarita Valley. So when we come back after this, let's give our listeners a sneak peek as to what they are going to. Now, we want everyone to show up, but I think we can only cram about, 200 or 300 people in there? I bet we can get 300 in that room. Closer to 2.
We'll push it. We'll push it. We'll get as many as we can. So we want everybody to show up for the event. It's on September 27th. It's at the Child and Family Center. Address? 21545 Center Point Parkway in Santa Clarita. So it'll be at the Child and Family Center at 5 p.m. Is the resource fair, and then 6 p.m. is the event proper will start. We want everyone to show up. That is on September 27th. It's a Thursday, 2 weeks from now, and we're excited about it. So we are going to talk about that event when we come back and kind of give the details and a little sneak peek as to what people can expect. I'm Bob Sheritz. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour, and we'll be right back.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
You choose your dry cleaner for convenience. Maybe it's time to choose a dry cleaner that is not only convenient but does quality work at a reasonable price. Town Cleaners. They're in the center of our valley and they offer free pickup and delivery anywhere in Santa Clarita. Town Cleaners, a dry cleaner who goes the extra step. Their stringent quality control ensures the highest quality cleaning and pressing for your garments. And now through February, save 50% on all dry cleaning orders. Town Cleaners on Soledad and Rainbow Glen.
Mission Valley Bank is a commercial bank in the Santa Clarita Valley that really puts the community into community banking.
At Mission Valley Bank, we strive to be a trusted advisor to our clients, and that means being an integral part of the communities we serve. We started the Give Where You Live program to help bring awareness to our nonprofit partners. We're more than just a local business bank. In fact, we're a full-service, independent commercial bank that is locally owned, community-minded, and relationship-driven. I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank, and I invite you to experience the Mission Valley Bank difference, where your success is our mission. We want to be your most valued bank.
Mission Valley Bank has been named Most Trusted Advisor Business Banker by the San Fernando Valley Business Journal 5 years in a row and received the Business Leadership Award by the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce, Valley Industry Association, and SCV Economic Development Corporation. Visit them at their Center Point branch location or at missionvalleybank.com. Member FDIC.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
You might not know the difference between a fade, a pompadour, a cropped fringe, or faux mohawk, but the Sport Clips Guys Smart stylists sure do. We know you don't think about haircuts 24/7. That's Sport Clips' job. That's why Sport Clips specializes in haircuts for men and boys. Sport Clips has turned something you have to do into something you want to do. You don't ever need an appointment at Sport Clips, and you'll walk out feeling like an MVP. Guaranteed. Sport Clips at the Santa Clarita location nearest you.
Your hometown station.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sheritz, and this is the Way Out Recovery. I am in studio with Charity Wabuki, who is the program manager over at the Child and Family Center's Transitional Age Youth Substance Abuse Program. I don't know, probably wrong title, but
that works.
That works.
That works right now.
Right? And it's not, so it's 12 years old to 21 years
Yes.
old. So it's not exclusively transitional age youth. But rumor has it you guys are about to have adult Medi-Cal.
We
hopefully.
are so excited, and we're working on that. And the goal is within the next 90 days to start serving adults ages 22 and older.
And man, we are so excited about that too. I don't. It's better than half of the calls that we get are people who have some form of Medi-Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Now it depends what kind you get. Insurance is a complicated business. And depending on what kind you have, we can actually serve some of, depending on what kind of Medi-Cal they have. Some are carved out to different insurance companies and stuff. And so it's nice that there's going to be another resource that accepts Medi-Cal clients. Currently, I think the only adult substance abuse specific Medi-Cal program is the National Council, NCADD. I'm not aware of any other ones. There are a lot of individual counseling and therapy that accept Medi-Cal, but not intensive outpatient like that. So it'll be really nice to have that in our community, so that you guys can help that population as well. So here's the date again, September 27th. It is a Thursday night, a couple of weeks from now, at the Child and Family Center at
21545 Center Point Parkway in the city of Santa Clarita.
We're good at this. You should be my co-host.
Thanks.
Center Point Parkway, Child and Family Center at 5 p.m. Show up, because you will be able to take advantage of all the resources that we have invited that will be there with their information. It's not in drug and alcohol and mental health treatment, it is not a one-size-fits-all. And oftentimes, as a person who's in recovery, I need to utilize multiple different resources. And so we have invited a bunch of resources to be there at 5 o'clock. Show up and talk to them, find out what services they offer, get their information, flyers, and things like that. And then at 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock for 2 hours, we're going to have various panel members in the event proper. I get to be the MC. I'm real excited about that. So I get to introduce the whole thing, turn it over to Charity, and she's going to introduce our panel members. We have some professionals coming out, right?
We do.
Who are we going to get to? What kind of perspectives are we going to get to hear from a professional perspective?
So we are so excited to have many different professionals coming out to our event. So even to kick off the event, we are having a first responder just talk about a call out that they've received where upon arriving to the scene, it's drug and alcohol related.
Right.
And we wanted to do that to set the stage so individuals can really hear firsthand what's happening in our community and being able to hear that from someone who they do this day in and day out. And so we're going to start by having a first responder.
I think it's greater than this, but I talked to a guy and he said at least 50% of the calls they get involve drug and alcohol. And I've heard some say as much as 80% of the calls that, that paramedics get and first responders get. And when they show up, there's drug and alcohol related, whether it's a car crash or some kind of a tragic event that's happened. Drugs and alcohol are involved.
In some capacity.
I was in I forget the name of the event, but I went out to Simi Valley and they had, the city had put on an event right around the same time our city was putting on the Heroin Kills symposiums. And they had a first responder and he was talking about, I don't know if he was a fire chief or police, but he was talking about he was the guy who had to knock on the doors of the families and inform them that their loved one had overdosed or been killed or whatever. And he said, that was always the most difficult thing that he had to do. And so the perspective of a first responder and the things that they see and the drugs and alcohol that are involved in those calls that they get, to hear somebody tell firsthand what that's like is going to be really, really powerful for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in addition to the first responder, we have Amy Spar, who is the clinical director of Valley Recovery Center.
Oh, I love Amy Spar.
She is an amazing,
cool.
amazing individual. And it kind of speaks to your point earlier, Bob, about having that collaboration between different professionals.
Right.
And, the Valley Recovery Center, it fills a void that Child and Family Center can't fill. And so just being able to hear from a clinical perspective about some of the challenges that she's come up against when she's been working in the field of addiction and recovery. So we're super excited to have her.
She's got a neat sort of role and perspective, not only to offer us, but in her daily job as well. So she's clinical director of a 6-bed men's residential facility here in Santa Clarita called Valley Recovery Center. So she has oversight of all the other clinicians there, scheduling and all that kind of stuff. But she also has personal interaction with each one of the clients as a marriage family therapist. And so she's going to touch on the sort of marriage or mixture of mental health and substance abuse together, because it's rare to see somebody nowadays who just has pure substance abuse. There's always some kind of, even if it's only created by the substance abuse, depressions and anxieties and different, psychosis and things that are going on. So it'll be really neat to hear her experience directly, because she's working with I guarantee you the day that she shows up for our event, that day she will have sat down with several different people and done some work. So she'll have firsthand experience.
Absolutely. And then we're also super excited to have Dr. Eugene Kim, and he's a psychiatrist, and he is certified in addiction medicine.
Oh, nice.
So super excited to have him be part of our panel and just bring his, expertise and experience about working firsthand as a doctor in the field of psychiatry and addiction.
Well, it's neat that we live in a world today where medications are changed. There are medications nowadays that are specifically being designed to combat addiction and to combat the cravings and the withdrawal symptoms and all the different facets of that come along with addiction. And so it'll be really neat, because his experience in addiction is going to be a lot of that right there. Like, what can we give you to help reduce your relapse potential in terms of craving, or to help you through the withdrawal symptoms? And he can probably talk about, you mentioned withdrawal earlier, and giving family members education on what that looks like for your clients and for their families. And it's really important for loved ones of people who suffer with substance use disorders to understand that coming off of the drugs oftentimes can be the most dangerous thing. And so you want to have an education on that and be aware. If your teenager comes home and they are drunk out of their mind, you don't just tell them to go sleep it off and lay them down in bed, because they could die in that situation right there. Or if somebody's taking a lot of benzodiazepines, for instance, like Xanax, things like that. Coming off of those drugs, a person can have a seizure, they can have a heart attack, high blood pressure. There's all kinds of things that can happen, and we want to know about that stuff so that if we have a loved one who is suffering from substance use disorder or using substances, that we know the dangers, the true dangers, and what medications can help get them through that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, neat.
Absolutely. And we're also so fortunate to have Larry Schallert from College of the Canyons.
Larry, too, right? All my friends are going to be there.
All of our friends are going to be
right.
there. Exactly. And so what's unique about Larry is he brings a college experience with him. And so he works over at the Wellness Center over at College of the Canyons. And Larry's also a licensed clinical social worker.
Right.
And so his perspective on what's happening on the campuses and some of the work that him and his team have been doing in response to drugs and alcohol.
Well, they do. So they have an overlying focus of, it's health and wellness, but it really is mental health, which encompasses substance use disorder. And they've had a huge focus and done a tremendous job over the last however many years on suicide prevention.
Yes.
Suicide prevention, how can we talk to people, and really trying, what comes up a lot over the years in my talks with Larry and the events that we've done is the word stigma. And so they really have done a great job of trying to erase the stigma behind mental health issues, suicidality, drug and alcohol use, and other issues. All the stuff that as a society, so I oftentimes will say this, those issues are the biggest, most pervasive issues that we face probably in the world, and yet they're the things that we're most afraid to talk about. And so a guy like Larry and his team over there, what they do is they are the voice to say, it's happening, here's how much it's happening, here's what we can do to prevent it, and we all need to be talking about it.
Absolutely.
And so let's get it out there.
Absolutely.
So I love, Larry and I did an event several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, at College of the Canyons, and he and I got to sort of sit up there and banter back and forth, and he had the mental health piece and I had the substance use piece, and we just went back and forth in showing how they work together, and it was one of the best events that we've ever put on.
Excellent.
So I'm really happy that Larry's going to be there.
We're so fortunate that he will be joining us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He almost couldn't make it. He had something else scheduled. He's like, no, this is really important. And that's Larry.
And that's exactly
he's
Larry
like,
is.
how can I shift stuff around, because this is an important thing to do, right? Yeah, so neat that we can do that. And then firsthand experience from the mouths of people that are recovering from various addictions.
Yes, we do.
So what does our panel look like there?
So we do have a great panel, but one last person I don't want to forget about.
I'm sorry, professional.
We have Travis from the local sheriff's department.
See, Travis is new. I got to get used to bringing Travis in. So yeah, we're all going to miss Sergeant Bob. So Bob Walksmith has officially, again, we'll see if it's true, has officially again retired from the city of Santa Clarita and the J team. It's a collaboration between the city and the sheriff's department, the juvenile intervention team. And so now it's Bill Velick, Detective Bill Velick, and Travis. What's Travis's last name? We'll just call him Travis.
We'll call him Travis for right now.
We can't call him Sergeant Travis, right? No,
not
that's
Sergeant.
Bob.
But he is a retired detective who's now working on the J team over at the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department.
Yeah. So Travis is going to come on and talk to us about, so the juvenile intervention team is something that was started, I want to say, Captain Paul Becker in Captain Becker's era. The J team was started. Juvenile intervention team, the idea is instead of arresting people and throwing them in jail, there's a team that goes out there, and if somebody has drug and alcohol use, and I know it says juvenile intervention team, but they really are 40 years old and under is really the kind of their cutoff, depending on the circumstances. But these guys have really revolutionized the viewpoint of law enforcement towards addicts in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Yes.
Because they're seeing that these are not people that are starting out by intentionally going out and committing crimes. These are people that are trying to feed a drug addiction. And so they will get somebody and say, okay, you can we can offset these charges, or we can put them over there to sit, and you'll never really have to do anything about them if you get and stay sober. And so they push them into treatment centers, and they help them get into different organizations like yours and mine. And it's such a neat thing that they're doing. So, you know, Travis is a great addition to the team. He brings great experience with his years in the in law enforcement, and he's new, so we're going to give him a warm welcome. But I'm sure that Detective Valick has given him the rundown on what's going on, and they bring a great message. They will probably show us some of the new trends that are going on with drugs, some of the different devices that people are using to administer drugs. What even they'll probably have a display of what even the drugs look like. So for parents of teenagers, young adults, or, you know, any family member really who's dealing with loved ones who have substance use disorder, you can see what they look like, so you can be better equipped to know what's going on in your own home or around you.
Absolutely. So that wraps up the professional panel.
Nice.
And so with the panel of individuals in recovery, so we have 5 that will be coming, and we're so excited because all of their stories are so different. Yet the one common theme is drugs and alcohol. And so we are so inviting everyone to come out just to hear their stories, hear, you know, their journey of recovery, and just to be, you know, just to be part of that environment, like with them. And so we don't want to give everything away about their stories. So we want you guys definitely to come out, you know, hear the panelist stories, encourage them, support them, learn from them, you know, because these are day-to-day individuals, you know, and everyone has their own, you know, personal story. And so we're so excited just to have them come out and join us.
Well, you know what's always neat? So one of my favorite things to do is to go to any place where somebody is sharing their experience of struggle and then hope, right? So I go to different 12-step meetings, whatever, and I listen to what they call speaker meetings, and I love to hear those stories. What always gets me is that I have spent my entire life, even with my own history and my own experience of my group of people that were doing drugs when we were teenagers, I'm very limited in what my viewpoint of what I think an addict or an alcoholic or somebody who's like, I have in my head what that looks like. And I go and I listen to people's stories, and I find out that, and this will be no surprise probably to a lot of people, but I've been wrong about a lot of stuff in my life. And so what I love about these kind of panels is we go and we listen, and it will change your perspective. Oh my God, I would have never known that person had a drug problem. Or they live on what side of town? Oh my gosh. Or they come from this family, or what do you mean they don't have any trauma in their, you know what I mean? All the things that we think. And so listening to those experiences really kind of blows me away.
Me too.
It kind of blows me away. And especially, you know, earlier we very briefly touched on the severity and the availability and the world we live in terms of drugs. It's a time like no other. But we also live in a time when treatment is more available than it ever has been. Treatment is more effective than it ever has been. And people are getting and staying sober younger and younger and younger. And so we've got a couple of our panelists that are fairly young that have significant amount of time without using drugs. And that is very, very hopeful to anybody who might be in their 20s or in their late teens or whatever, that are saying, oh my God, for the rest of my life, I'm not going to use. I'm so young. I can't do this. And it's not like it used to be where you would go to, say, AA or NA and find a room full of old people sitting around getting sober. This young and vibrant and caring and loving recovery community is happening all around us.
And that's so important what you just shared, Bob, about the word and message of hope. And if anything, I think that's one thing that when we were talking about and planning this event, we want to be able to offer the community of Santa Clarita. We want to provide them with education to increase awareness and to give them that hope. And so that's why, we had created, this event that we're hosting later this month.
Well, we do recover, and the event is called the Voices for Recovery. So if you do a Facebook search, and it'll come up, Voices for Recovery. If you go to KHTS website and you type in Voices for Recovery, the event will pop up. If you go to Child and Family website, what's your website over there?
childandfamilycenter.org.
Childandfamilycenter.org. Is it and or ampersand?
The and, A-N-D.
A-N-D on the website. Child and A-N-D family center.org. Or if you go to the wayoutrecoveryscv.com, it's on our landing page, the flyer for the event. We are calling it the Voices for Recovery, and if you look at the colors and the setup of the flyer, what you'll notice is, if you're in the recovery world, is that nationwide you'll see those same colors and the same logo and everything, because September is Recovery Month. So it's National Recovery Month. We are doing this to celebrate recovery, like you said, to offer hope to those that are suffering, and more than anything, for people to hear that it is possible for us to pull out of whatever we're suffering from.
Absolutely.
All we got to do is ask for help.
That's the hardest step, is asking for help.
Or have some kind and loving person intervene in our lives, And what's interesting is those angels may not always look like that at the beginning. I have, I'll say it publicly, I have the Palmdale Sheriff's Department to thank for my sobriety date, and I'm forever grateful that they intervened in my life way back when, because I wouldn't be sitting here today. And at the time, I wasn't happy about it, And so somebody, even if I'm not ready to ask for help, somebody can step into my life. And so if you're a parent out there, or somebody has a problem, say something.
Yes.
Say something about it, and you can deliver that message in a kind and loving manner. I've noticed that you're going downhill, and I love you, and I want to help you. So let's go get help together, right? If anybody wants to contact the Child and Family Center, what's the best phone number over there?
The best contact number is area code 661-259-9439.
259-9439. Call over there, ask for their substance abuse program, and you will get Charity on the line, or one of her coworkers. They have an outstanding program over there. They are helping a lot of people. It has been a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much.
I'm really looking forward to this event coming up
be a great event.
On September 27th. I'm Bob Sheritz. This is The Way Out Recovery. Give us a call at 296-4444 and ask us for help. We will see everybody at the event on September 27th.
I've always been driven to serve our country and our community.
Congressman Steve Knight.